Hello and welcome. This is our third COVID-19 vaccine Q&A with the British Society for Immunology. I'm Erica and today I'm joined by Dr. Nigel Francis from Swansea University. Hello, Nigel.
Hi, Erica. Nice to be here. Thank you very much for the invite to come and talk.
Thank you very much, Nigel. It's nice to have you here today. So let's get straight to it. Question number one, is the second dose of the vaccine necessary or more necessary for some?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely necessary that we have the second dose of the vaccine. The way that our immune system works is that the first time you encounter a threat, your body's really learning how to respond to it and working out what its weaknesses are. And then the second time you're exposed to that same threat, your immune system remembers and what those weaknesses are and how to respond to it. So what's happening is during the first dose of the vaccine is really you're just helping your body to identify the best things to respond to against the SARS-CoV-2 virus. Then on the second exposure, you're really refining that immune response and fine-tuning it so that you get a much more robust and a much stronger response. So absolutely, the second dose is fundamentally important. What's really important to remember as well, though, is that even after you've had the vaccine, it's really important to maintain social distancing and to wash your hands and to make sure that we are following the guidelines because other people around you may not yet be immune as well.
Question number two, do we have any more thoughts on how long vaccine immunity lasts?
I think it's really important to say at this point, we just don't know. SARS-CoV-2 has only been around since March, so we can only really base our answer on that sort of 9-10 month period. What I can say is that a Siren report that was released by Public Health England last week looked at healthcare workers who had contracted COVID-19 during the first wave and looked at what the reinfection rate was during the second wave, and it was about 0.7%. So what that tells us is that those individuals that have suffered from COVID-19 are still immune to COVID-19 5-6 months down the line. So we know that natural immunity lasts that long. Hopefully the vaccine will produce a better response and allow us the same or even greater periods of time.
Question number three, when will we know if the vaccines prevent you from being a carrier of the virus?
So the initial data that we've got from animal studies on this is that the vaccines that are currently in use and approved in the UK are not sterilizing vaccines. That means that they don't prevent you from being a carrier of SARS-CoV-2. They just prevent you from actually getting and suffering from COVID-19. What that does mean is that even if you are immunized, then there is a chance that you will still be a carrier of the virus and you could pass it on to other people. So again, just to reiterate, it's really important that even if you have been immunized and you have received that first dose, that you continue to wear a mask and you continue to practice social distancing to help protect the people around you and prevent the spread of the virus.
Question number four, what does efficacy mean in detail? If the vaccine works on 9 out of 10 people, do the 1 out of 10 have something in common or is it random?
So efficacy is really a measure in clinical trials of how effective the vaccine is at preventing individuals from getting the disease that's being studied compared to the placebo group. So within any stage of a clinical trial, you'll have half of the group which is receiving something like saline, and then you'll have half of the group which is receiving the vaccine itself. What efficacy measures is how more likely people in the placebo group are to get the disease. The second part of that question is actually really interesting. At the moment, we just don't know. What has happened is in the third stage of the clinical trial is that there is a demographically matched population. So that means there's matched to the age, the gender, ethnic backgrounds, and sort of underlying health conditions for the population that are likely to receive that vaccine. And the data that we've got so far doesn't identify any particular groups of individuals that are more or less at risk to going on developing COVID-19 after receiving the vaccine. But that will continue to be monitored as more and more people get the vaccine as it's rolled out across the UK.
Question number five, what are the chances that a new variant is resistant to the current vaccines?
Okay, that's a really important question to answer. And all of the data that we have so far suggests that the new variants are still susceptible to the vaccines. If you want to think of it as the viral spike being my hand, essentially your immune system is identifying various parts of that 3D structure as foreign and is responding to it. So even if you were to change one part, say for example, if I lost my little finger, you still have all of the rest of the 3D structure, which is the same, the antibodies still recognize and respond to. I think even if we do require new vaccines in the future, the new technology allows for them to be rolled out really, really quickly. So the estimates are that you'd be able to develop a new vaccine to any variant that did become resistant within about 6 to 8 weeks. So the new technology is really promising in that respect as well.
Question number 6. I've never had a vaccine before in my life. What type of reaction should I expect?
Okay, so the first thing to say is that side effects to a vaccine are incredibly rare. And those that you do see are generally your immune system working properly. So they're actually a good thing. It shows that your immune system is functioning and is starting to fight off the viral particles that you're seeing and you're expressing within your body. Those side effects you're likely to get are redness and swelling around the injection site, which is common with any kind of injection. And you may develop some minor flu-like symptoms, so fever or muscular aches and pains. Again, that means your body and your immune system is functioning well. Importantly, those side effects are not likely to last very long, so they should be gone within a couple of days. So don't worry about any of those minor side effects. It's a good thing.
Question number 7. I've had COVID before. Will I have worse or no side effects from the vaccine?
This is a really difficult question to answer because everybody's immune system is slightly different and no two immune systems respond in exactly the same way. What I can say is that if you've already had COVID-19, the first dose of the vaccine is much more likely to be effective for you. Your body will have already seen and started to learn how to fight the COVID-19 virus of SARS-CoV-2. And so the first dose of the vaccine will really have that training effect on your immune system. It will start to tweak the immune response to become much more effective at combating SARS-CoV-2. When you receive the second dose then of the vaccine, that will again it would tweak your immune system even further. So those people who have had COVID-19 already, 100% should still get vaccinated. It's just that you're likely to have an even better response than somebody who hasn't contracted SARS-CoV-2.
Question number 8. For how long do the body cells, for example your muscle cells, express the protein encoded by the mRNA?
Okay, so I think this question is being asked because both the Pfizer-BioNTech and the Moderna vaccines are based on new technology, which is an mRNA vaccines. What this does is basically it packages the viral mRNA that encodes the spike protein up into a tiny little fat droplet called a lipid nanobody. And those lipid nanobodies will, when they're injected, will fuse with your own body cells, which is commonly the muscle cells around the site of the injection. And that mRNA will then enter your muscle cells. Within your own cells, you have machinery which allows for that RNA to be read and converted into the spike protein. Really importantly, that mRNA does not become part of your own genetic material in any way. So within 3 or 4 days, that mRNA from that encodes the spike protein will have been broken down. So you get a transient expression of the spike protein as a result. Those cells that do express the spike protein will naturally either stop expressing over a period of time, or they will be identified by the immune system, train the immune system to respond to that spike protein, and will be destroyed as part of that process.
Question number 9. There are lots of different vaccines being produced. How many do you predict there will be worldwide?
Wow, that's a good question. Well, I can't say exactly how many. If I did, I'd probably be playing the lottery every weekend and hoping for a win. But what we do know is that there are 9 vaccines that have been approved globally, of which 3 are in use in the UK, and that there are over 50 vaccines that are still in development and currently going through clinical trials. What's important is that we probably will need a lot of these vaccines because different vaccines will work better for some people than others. In terms, maybe you'll have one vaccine which will work really well in an elderly population, but slightly less well in a young demographic. So you'll need these different types of vaccines. I think one of the other things that's really important to note is that the data from these clinical trials is being shared between different groups. So even before some of the first wave of these COVID-19 vaccines have hit the market, they're actually being refined and improved for the second wave.
Question number 10. How long until vaccines will have an effect and therefore reduce the need for lockdowns?
So the only real way to defeat this virus and this pandemic is to make sure as many people across the world are vaccinated as possible so the virus doesn't have anywhere to spread to. It's impossible to say exactly how long that's going to be. Obviously, there's a rollout of the vaccines and it does take time to actually administer the vaccines to people. But as more and more people across the UK and across the world receive the vaccine, it means that those lockdown restrictions are likely to get less and less. I can't give you an exact timeline, but I really hope that over the course of 2021, those restrictions will be eased and we'll get back to some kind of normality.
And question number 11, this one has come from Twitter. Are the vaccines effective?
Incredibly. What I will say, though, is despite the effectiveness of these vaccines, it's really, really important that you still keep wearing a mask, you still keep practicing social distancing, and that you wash your hands frequently, because people around you may still be susceptible and you could still be a carrier. So we need to make sure that we keep following the guidelines until as many people have been vaccinated as possible and are immune to this virus.
That's really brilliant. Thank you so much, Nigel. I think that's been really valuable. And thank you everyone for watching. We'll be back again soon. But thank you very much and see you again, Nigel.
Thanks, Erica. It's great to be part of this. Thank you very much to the BSI for the opportunity to speak. And if you have got any questions about immunology or the COVID-19 vaccine, make sure you go and check out their website. It's full of fantastic information. So see you soon.